Gita of Sri Krishna, and we'll look at it together as we begin once again to walk deeper into the confrontation of the human mind. And we were just speaking before, the human mind is an army in and of itself, an army that is split into two camps. One will come to rescue you, the other will come to destroy you. And try as we may, all that we do when we try to work our problems out by going somewhere or doing something is simply find that we get a little older and usually come back carrying the same problems that we left with. That's the way it is. There is only one way to change things, and that is to change the cells of the human mind in order for you to be able to receive that which is new, in order for you to be able to contend with what goes on. I mean, terrible things happen. Terrible, terrible things happen. We were talking tonight of going to a funeral of a young boy, 23 years old, who's killed out in front of his parents' house. Within 100 feet of the house, he's killed. In fact, his parents raced out of the house when they heard the crash, saw the... I mean, you know, just imagine the devastation. How do you deal with that? Are there any prayers? Are there any words to say, oh, well, there are none. Nothing exists in the universe to deal with that. And yet, what do you do? Do you commit suicide yourself, or do you somehow go on? Or do you try in some way to finally make some sense out of all of this? You know, and the first thing was, well, people say, well, gee, you know, it's not fair, a young fellow like that. But if you hit a tree with a car going at a high rate of speed, what's going to happen to you? It's no more complex than that. It's the way it is. If you step off a 10-story building, you're going to die. It doesn't make any difference how many prayers, how born again you are, how saved you are. It doesn't make any difference. If you create situations for yourself, you're going to get hurt. And that's basically what the world has done. That's basically what we have done. We haven't run into accidents. We've created situations for ourselves. We've gotten hurt. And so Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is trying to share with us here, what do we do? How do we deal with ourselves? How do we deal with life in general in order to be able to survive it? Or we can spend our time sulking our way through it. It's not going to do any good. In fact, just before, hey, I had an idea, though, to lighten it up a little bit. I had an idea, and I'm thinking of changing a song and just adding one word to it, and we could sing it in church. Did you ever hear, I think Irving Berlin wrote this song, God Bless America? Did you ever hear that song? Anybody ever hear it? Yes. Yes. One little Indian in the first row heard the song. The rest of it. We changed the one word to God bless the universe, land that I love, stand beside her. Huh? From the mountains to the... God bless the universe, my home sweet... Isn't that something? Would that be good? That's... But gets everybody involved in it, right, Mary? I think that's terrific. They're all choked up by that, folks, as you can hear. They're really excited about God Bless the Universe. It's rising right to the top of the charts here. They're all staring at me. Oh, God bless the universe. No, I don't show them how I sulk. They have to come over to our house and watch me sulk. You know, yeah. But as I stand here looking out over the crowd, I see a bunch of professional sulkers that know how to sulk every bit as well as I do. But I can sulk with the best of them. Right, Joe? Joe says, yes, he can. Joe never sulks, of course, you know. 24:3. Krishna, 24:3. What's he say? He attains peace, who, giving up desire, moves through the world without aspiration, possessing nothing which he can call his own, and free from pride. What can you call your own? I mean, you know, I'll tell you something. I'll tell you how much you own. If you die tonight, not one thing goes with you except the threads you have on your back. That's it. That's all. So what can you call your own? The only thing that you own is yourself. Your mind, your thoughts. That's what you can call your own. Your mind and your thoughts are your own, and that's what you have to give up. Possess nothing. Be willing to possess nothing, because it is the things that you have possessed, your thoughts, which have placed you into the difficult situations which you have experienced. And the key word here, it says, he attains peace. What a word, right? P-E-A-C-E. Great word. Great. I woke up this morning, and I got up, And Joan was in bed with the dogs, you know. Over at our house, when you get up in the morning, take a look at our bed. It looks like Sheena, queen of the jungle. You know, she lays in there with these animals all over the place. But here was this little dog who had been abused, beat up, mistreated, had puppies at 10 months old, was thrown out in the garbage, was sitting in a cage, was flea infested, filthy infested, whole churned around, has a great big white fluffy pillow with lace on it on the bed. It's just for that dog. And there with its head on the pillow, doing Z's. I mean, totally just zonked out. On her back with her paws. That's peace. Absolute peace. Nothing to worry about anymore. Why wasn't there anything to worry about for this dog anymore? Because she was around people that wanted her to be around. She was around people that wanted to share her for what she was, and she could share. And so it was just peace. Absolute peace, you see. Now, she could sleep. I mean, she could sleep out in the garbage. She could sleep in a cage. But the breathing would be shaking. The body would be shaking. There would be no real peace. Now there's peace because there's tranquility. There's security. She is among those that she can trust. She has nothing to, quote, unquote, worry about. So the key word is peace. And that word, and that comes usually when we are raised above our worldly desires. It doesn't mean you don't want to have nice clothes. It doesn't mean you don't want to have nice things. That's not it at all. It's a question of you being in charge, you trying to figure out which direction you're going, and you then submitting yourself to this higher realm within you to direct it for you. If you remember, and you don't have it with you, back in 20.5, it says, consulting only their desires, they construct their own heaven, devising arduous and complex rites, that's religion, to secure their own pleasure and their own power, and the only result is rebirth. That's being born again. And some fellow tell me today, I'm born again. That's no big deal. Do you know that this is the biggest joke on Christianity? Being born again is not a good thing. There's nothing positive about it. Jesus says when you're all screwed up with all of your beliefs and all of your traditions, and everybody's got your mind completely screwed up to the point where you'll never be able to do it in this life, you got to be born again. Until you get it right. And so they all say, I'm born again. But you are. You're going to be born again and again and again, because your traditions will not let you understand what truth is, what reality is. There's no big thing. There is nothing positive about that. Here comes this religious guy up to Jesus, loaded down with all of his jewels and his big hat and his robe and his cape and all of this stuff. He's got 2 Bibles under his arm, big enough to choke a mule, and he's got 3 different versions of Amazing Grace, and he comes up to Jesus and he says, what must I do to be saved? And Jesus said, hey, no way, pal, you got to be born again. You got to start all over again, get rid of all that crap you're loaded down with, come back, try and make another crack at it. Maybe next time around you'll make it. You must be born again, because you got to be born of spirit, and you'll never be born of spirit as long as you have been born of all the junk that's been put into your mind by your traditions, by your family, by the government, by religion. You got to be born again. You got to be born again so you can be born out of all of that junk you've gotten involved with, so you can take another shot at it. And that's what he was saying. See, there's a very good chance you folks may not have to be born again. It depends how close and how high you... I don't know. You know, who can say? Who can quote Spirit? Rebirth is an introduction back to the battlefield to work yourselves upward to God. It's to come back and take another shot at the fight. There's nothing good about it. I mean, you just think of some of the garbage that some of you have gone through in your life. Now you're going to come back and do it again. You don't want to do it. Think of your life. Just close your eyes and think of some of the lunacy. You want to do this again? No. So the big thing is you don't want to be born again. Joan says yes, she does. But, I mean, see, we don't want to go into individualize this as who likes their life and who doesn't, okay? You have to figure that one out for yourself. You want to come back and do this, or would you rather be assigned a body in this particular earth in which you dwell in those higher realms of consciousness and so forth and so on. It's a whole different kind of a thing, but being born again is not a positive thing. It just means you didn't make it this time. You've got to take another shot at it. Okay. But what have we done to it? Just like everything else we've done in the Bible, we've turned it into a ceremony. And you come and you sign a card, and you make a statement that somebody else wrote, and put something into your head that somebody else thought up, and after you repeat it, they say, you're born again, you're now a member of the group, give us your money, sit down, shut up for the rest of the time until you die, and then everything will be super. That's it. Give us your money, shut up, sit down, and die, and then you'll get your heavenly reward. But see, Jesus Christ didn't say that. Jesus Christ said, peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, not as the world gives. That's Christ consciousness. That's Christ consciousness. That's a whole different kind of peace that most of us know nothing about. Most of you have never experienced. And that's what's being talked about here. And how does Jesus say to find that peace? That peace that the world doesn't know anything of? Well, look what he says. Page 104 in those little Bibles, the book of John, John chapter 14. John chapter 14. Okay? Page 104 in the New Testament, John chapter 14, and verse 27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world gives, I give unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. And many of us have spent a good part of our lives with the center of our being terrifically troubled and scared to death. Every day we're frightened. Many people are just even scared of even waking up because of what tomorrow is going to bring. And what he's saying is, let not your heart be troubled. Don't let it be afraid. So how the heck can I do that? Page 6 tells you how. Page 6 in the New Testament, looking at Matthew chapter 6. Page 6, Matthew chapter 6, and Jesus explains exactly how this happens. Okay? Matthew chapter 6, page 6 in your New Testament, go to verse 25, and what does he say? Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life. He doesn't mean don't worry about it. He said, you want to have it? Then take no thought. And just think to yourself, how many times have you done it? If you were to weigh on the balance how many times you've taken no thought with how many times you tried to think your way out of problems, you're going to see you're really weighed down with a lot of negativity. Negativity has totally weighed you down, and you're basically a negative person because you've tried to think your way into life when Jesus says, if you want to find life, take no thought, and you'll find it. Because then you'll open your mind to that which is divine inspiration, divine thought, if you would. So that's the secret. That's the secret of how you find peace. Take no thought. Okay? And you know why most people don't do it? Because they don't understand that it can do anything, and they don't think it can work. They don't think it can work. And so they don't bother with it. Until they go out and they try to fight their way through, and then they find out they're worse off than when they start. So finally, then maybe it'll come to the point where somebody say, I'll try it. You know, I'll try to take no thought. Look at 24:3 again. Possessing nothing which he can call his own. That's a symbol for no attachments to things that cannot bring peace. Nothing. If you look at page 68, if you look at page 68 in your New Testament, okay, Luke chapter 9. Luke chapter 9, page 68. Luke chapter 9, verse 58. What's it say about Jesus? And Jesus said unto them, foxes have holes, the birds of the air have nests, the Son of Man has not where to lay his head. He has nothing. He has no thought. He absolutely exists in a higher realm that has nothing to do with the things material. And you say, well, I can't do that. I live in the world. I got to make these decisions. But that's the problem. You can't make the decision because you're making the decisions based on carnal thought, and they get screwed up and you get in a lot of trouble. Jesus is saying, take no thought, and then the vibrations can start to echo down from the right hemisphere. Brain cells on the right side of your brain can start giving you instruction, lifting you up out of the morass of no money, out of the morass of family problems, out of the morass of your own inequality and your own inequity and your own feelings of destruction and distress and all of the things that hurt you. Jesus says the prescription of it is to learn to take no thought. And that basically is meditation. In the same way Jesus said in page 68 in Luke 10, go to the next one, Luke 10, carry neither purse, Luke 10, verse 4, carry neither purse, nor scrip, nor shoes, salute no man by the way. In other words, don't have anything. When you enter within, The place where your treasure is going to come from is that place where there is not a thought. There is not one blessed thought, and that's a very hard thing to accomplish. And even if you can catch a few seconds of it, a few moments of it, everything will be moving in the right direction. It's not easy to do. Being cut off in your spiritual quest from the human earthly mind gives you to attain peace. It's the only possible thing that exists in this world where you can attain peace. And look what it says in 24:3. Possessing nothing which he can call his own and free from pride. Proverbs 16:18 says, pride goes before destruction. Pride goes before destruction. It's not, I'm proud of you. In other words, it's, I'm going to do things my way. I know that I've got it figured out. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. You get out of my life. You get out of here. I'm going to take over. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the other thing. And you're so doggone proud that once you start doing it, and once you screw it up, and when it goes all down the toilet, you're so doggone proud you'll never come back to say, man, I blew it. I was wrong. I screwed it up. If you're the way I am, you'll never do that. Just hang on to it and say, you know, did you ever hear about the cat? You know, the cat that goes running through the house and then runs right into the glass sliding door. Boom. And he just, that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. Yep, nothing. You know. And the cat gets behind the couch and nobody can see it. It's like, meow! You know, never do that in parlor. Never do that where people can see you, you know. Meow, meow. But boy, she runs right into that glass. Well, yes, I wanted to do that. That's where I am. That's a funny thing, because sometimes the cat gets on top of the copy machine. And I said, well, you get off here. I'm trying to copy something. I'll pick the cat up, put her on the floor, and she happens to be standing in front of her food dish, and she'll start eating. This is where I wanted to be. I wanted to be down here. They'll never let you know that they're ticked off. Never let you know that anything's wrong. Anywhere they wind up, that's exactly where I wanted to be. See, that's pride. It's ego. But see, they got a divine ego. Cat's got a divine pride. It's pretty neat. You know, everybody comes in, somebody comes in, everybody turns their head, looks, see who's coming in. You come up our house, get out of the car, walk up the driveway, that cat looks the other way. Never will look at you. You can look at her, but she in no way she's going to look at you. Because what are you? I mean, look, she only got hair here. I mean, just silly things. A little hair here, a little hair here. She got kind of funny things that he's walking up the driveway. I'm not looking at that. I'll say, hey, hi, Pris. No way. I'm looking that way. I want to see what's over there. Oh, great, you know. And it's a principle. Talk about ego, talk about pride, whatever you want to talk about. But look at 24:4. Oh, Arjuna. And what is Arjuna? Arjuna is your divine personality. That's the part of you that is above sin. Arjuna, your divine mind, the divine aspect of your mind, that which is the divine. Oh, Arjuna, this is the state of the self. See, that means the human mind. The self in this particular thing is the mind. This is the state of the self, the supreme spirit, to which if a man once attain it, watch this now, it shall never be taken from him. Huh? It's not something that you get and you lose it. You can't lose it. You can stop using it, but you can't lose it. Once you stimulate by the pineal gland the cells at the right hemisphere of the brain, once they start, they'll never stop. They're always there for you to use. It's not something you can lose. People say you can backslide. You cannot backslide. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Once your hair starts falling out, you know what I mean? There is no turning around. It's going. In the same way, once you stimulate this part of the brain, it's not going to shut down. Once you have done this, if a man attains, it shall never be taken from him. What a promise. Look what it says in 24:4. Even at the time of leaving the body, he will remain firmly enthroned there and will become one with the eternal. That's a promise made 6,000 years ago to ignorant people that don't have the slightest doggone understanding or idea what these people are talking about. And they're saying, if you will, for God's sakes, hit the floor, Give up your ego. Raise yourself up into that holy place. Turn on that right side. Once you start that energy moving, it will never be taken from you. And even at that point, when you leave the body, it'll still take you flying right up to the gates of the kingdom of heaven. And that's a heck of a thing to be said. A heck of a promise. This is the supreme state of God consciousness. One with the eternal. Now, how does that fit in your Bible? Look at page 107 in the New Testament. Go to the book of John, okay, and look at John 17. What did Krishna just say? Once you have this, once you have stimulated this higher consciousness, even after death, you will remain firmly enthroned there and will become one with the eternal. You know what that means? That means in your karmic, when you come back in your next life, you'll not lose it. When you come back in the next life, you don't have to start all over again down in the basement where most of us started from. It means when you come back in your next life, you will be firmly enthroned there. You will be right there. You'll have a firm grip on that. And brother, you got a head start. Tremendous. And now look what John 17. Go to verse 4. Is that what I said? Excuse me. John 17, verse 20. Jesus says, neither pray I for these alone, but for them which shall believe on me through their word, that all may be one. As you, Father, are in me, I in you, they also may be one in us. The world may believe that you have sent me. And Krishna has said, even at the time of leaving the body, he will remain firmly enthroned and will become one with the eternal. And that's how it happens. That's how it happens. And that meets completely with what Jesus Christ is teaching. And that's what you got to do. And what does it require of it? Does it require of you to be religious? No. It requires of you not to be religious. Does it require of you to spend money? No, it doesn't. What does it require? It requires you, for the first time in your life, to start paying attention to yourself. Not your ego. Not the part that gets you in trouble, the parts you don't know, the parts you've never been introduced to, that secret part of you that dwells deep in the middle in the holy place. To introduce yourself to yourself. Get to know yourself. Get to know the I am. Get to know the me, that deep part within you, which is the God part. Now, let us go and see a very good question. Okay? The question is in 28:1. And Arjuna asked this question. Your divine mind is now asking Krishna. And this is the question. My Lord, if wisdom is above action, why do you advise me to engage in this terrible fight? In other words, if wisdom is above action, why come against yourself? I mean, why not just stay and set a good example and try to coexist with yourself? Why get into a fight with this thing that's been bothering you? Why not just try to coexist with it? Because, he's saying here, if wisdom is above action, but now Arjuna says another thing to Krishna in 28:2. Look, your language perplexes me, and it confuses my reason. Okay? What did he just say? Arjuna says to Krishna, and Arjuna is the disciple part of you, and he says to Krishna, your language, I can't understand it. It's confusing me. Okay? Now, this is 6,000, 7,000 years ago. Go with me, if you would, to page 106 in your New Testament, to Luke chapter 16. Okay? 106 in Luke chapter 16. What did Arjuna just say to Krishna? Your language confuses me. Okay? It perplexes me. It confuses my reasoning. In Luke chapter 16, verse 29. Okay? Luke chapter 16. I got the wrong place here. Do I have it? Maybe it's John 16. All right. I just did that to see if you're paying attention, and obviously you were. Okay. His disciple said, Lord, now speak thou plainly and speak no proverb. I mean, but it said in Mark 4:34, without a parable he spoke not to him. There's always the symbolic spiritual language from God which man misinterprets literally. And that's what's being said here. I don't understand what you're saying here. I can't figure it out. And most of the time that you've sat and you've read the Bible, the worst thing is you thought that you understood it. You thought that you were figuring out because other people who didn't understand it were teaching you. The thing that we said some time ago, what we know is what we have been taught by people who don't know. And then we're led further and further away. As Jesus said, when one blind guy gets another blind guy and starts leading them, they both wind up in the ditch. And so Arjuna says, look, in 28:2, your language perplexes me, therefore please tell me the only way. Now watch that one, the only way by which I may, without doubt, secure my spiritual welfare. I want you to note that the only way to secure my spiritual welfare. In Matthew 7, verses 13 and 14, Jesus Christ says, narrow is the way, and few there be who find it. Here, 7,000 years ago, the question is, show me. I'm confused. Show me the only way that I may find my spiritual welfare. And in 28:3, if you'll look at this with me, Krishna replies. Sri Krishna replied. And incidentally, that word Krishna means Christ. That's where the word Christ comes from. And the word Sri means king. Christ the king. Okay? Sri Krishna replies in 28:3. In this world, as I have said, there is a twofold path, O sinless one. Okay? Stop there. Who's the sinless one? Your divine personality. That's the part in you that listens through meditation. See, not the carnal mind. That divine part of you that listens in meditation is the sinless one. It doesn't really communicate with that which is the lower mind. It stands above, ready for you to activate it. It is without contest with the lower mind. It's waiting for you to activate it, see? It's dormant. It doesn't understand until it's awakened and guided to the path of God. Now look at this, 28:3. There is a path of wisdom for those who meditate and a path of action for those who work. See it? There is a path of wisdom for those who meditate and a path of action for those who work. So we have wisdom for those who meditate and a path of action for those who work. Interesting. Now let's continue on 28:4. No man can obtain freedom from activity by refraining from action, nor can he reach perfection by merely refusing to act. Do you know why you cannot attain freedom from activity by refraining from action? Because your body, your mind will act itself out. It'll do whatever it wants to do anyhow. It doesn't make any difference how holy you get. And you say, well, I'm going to go to church. I'm going to read the Bible. I'm just going to sit. I'm going to give it over to God. The big thing in the born-again Christian circles is let go, let God. I always tried to figure out, what do you want me to do? Just let God have it. The guy's coming tomorrow to repossess the car. Is he going to be there? Is God going to be? If God's going to be there, I'm not going to worry. But are you going to guarantee me that when a guy sneaks up at 3 o'clock in the morning, God's going to be out in the front porch with the money? Otherwise, I got a problem. So they say, oh, well, just trust in the Lord. Trust in God. It doesn't work that way. Your mind will not allow this to happen. See? No man can attain freedom from activity by refraining from action. In other words, what it's saying, if you got something to do, you're not going to be able to set yourself free from the obligation by coming in here and sitting down and meditating it away. Because what's going to happen, the guy with the summons is going to be standing up outside at the top of the stairs in the parking lot waiting for you when you come out. You can meditate here for 3 weeks. He's still going to be there because they sit in cars and wait with the motor running in the wintertime. And in the summertime, too, for the air conditioning. They're going to wait for you. So you can't just say, well, I'm going to meditate, and that's going to take everything away. Do you know a lot of people do that? I say, the bills are going to be paid because I'm going to meditate. No, the bills are going to be paid because somebody's going to give the creditor money. Otherwise, they're not going to be paid. And that's what Krishna is trying to get across to you. No man can attain, what's the word? Freedom from activity by refraining from action. In other words, you are not going to take care of your life or your life's responsibilities because you say, I'm going to throw up my hands and I'm going to give it to God. Because what God's going to do, he's going to say, fakak to this. Here, I don't want. Hey, you do this. I'm not going to get involved with all of this. You got to do it. No way. And what else does it say in 28:4? Nor can he reach perfection by merely refusing to act. See, Krishna is integrating the need to allow the meditative process to move us into earth-changing paths. Don't you want to come in? Aren't you interested in having something happen to your life? Do you know what I found with most people, a lot of people in the New Age movement, you know what they're interested in? Flying around the ceiling, smelling incense, hearing bells tinkle, you know, having a crystal in each pocket. It's all beautiful, and they just want to lay there and float through the incense, and that's it. That's not what it's for. The reason that you come here is so that you can have a happy life, and then you can be filled with this happy life and demonstrate it to share it with others, and eventually turn the cesspool called earth into the glorious Eden, what it should be, heaven. Okay? And so Krishna is really hitting people where they don't like to hear. You're here to meditate so that you can straighten yourself out and help other people straighten themselves out. And many of you have made tremendous progress. Many of you have made tremendous progress. But look what he says. You're never going to get freedom from activity. In other words, you're never going to stop people from banging on your door or getting you aggravated and all of this stuff because you meditate. Or because you say, I'm not going to do anything. And you're never going to reach perfection by simply refusing to act. There's got to be something for you to do. What did Buddha say? You've got to have a document. You've got to understand the document. You've got to work at this. Do you know what happened? You talk about, you know, you know what people as recently as Tuesday night, you know, people will come in here at the most crucial time of their lives. This is an encounter with the infinite. This is the encounter with the eternal. And they'll sit up against a wall somewhere and they'll go to sleep. And they don't understand what they're doing. This is a point in meditation when the Jesus part of you is being crucified so the Christ part of you can rise, and the Jesus part of you screams, couldn't you even watch for 1 hour? And you expect your life to be changed. You expect good things to happen, yet you can't stay awake for one damn hour. There's responsibility here. And so I hear some people, oh, well, you know, I go in there, sometimes I get negative vibrations. Thank God there are negative vibrations in here. That means broken, hurt people are coming in here trying to get help. But instead of all these people want to meditate, running out the door so they can be with a bunch of meditators and float around the ceiling, they should be here and sending out positive vibrations to lift up the hurt, broken people. You want to see hurt, broken people? Come in here on a Wednesday night when they have the narcotics meeting. And I'm very happy that they're here. That's what this place is for. It's a battlefield. This isn't a monastery. It's where real people are and real things are going on. And you can't just drop out and think everything's going to get right, because it's not. What's it say? You say, well, I want to come in here because Jesus said to meditate. If your eye be single, your body will fill with light. Cast your net to the right side. Seek first the kingdom of God which is within you. Say, I want to find that. I want to do this. Great. Absolutely. Hallelujah. This is all wonderful. Go to page 212 of the New Testament. Go to the book of James. Page 212 in your New Testament. The book of James. What does it say? James chapter 2. Okay? James chapter 2. Verse 20. Faith without work is dead. So you did what Jesus said and you meditated. What good did it do you? What good did it do anybody else? What did you really try? What were you trying to accomplish? Maybe if I'll meditate, I'll get the new car. Maybe if I'll meditate, the guy won't want me to have to make next month's payment on the rent. Yes, he will. The only difference between this month and next month is next month you'll be meditating on the street. Okay. 28:5. Watch this. And this is more about us. He cannot even for a moment remain really inactive, for the qualities of nature will compel him to act whether he will or not. You can pray, you can try not to think, but your mind will force you. Did you ever come in here on the Tuesday nights and sometimes, you know, you sit down and say, I'm really going to get into this, and your mind is all over you. You're thinking of everything under the sun, and it just won't stop. And look what it says. He cannot even for a moment remain really inactive, for the qualities of nature will compel him to act whether he will or not. Did you ever see sometimes when you're in here meditating and you hear in the back the door gently opens? Then the door closes real quietly. The next thing you hear the rushing waters as the toilet is flushed. Doesn't your little tummy know that you're meditating? No, it doesn't care that you're meditating. It is time to go, and it will be now. Do you like it when you're meditating? Did you ever get to that meditating? You're going to be perfectly still. You're going to be like little Buddha and not move a muscle, and you get an itch right in your eyebrow. Why is your eyebrow itching when you're meditating? I will not touch it, and that way I will declare my victory over the flesh. And you go absolutely berserk. Did you ever hear? People stretch and they scratch. Huh? 1 inch. If you scratch one thing is all you got to do, because then all the other little itches all over the place will start. Just 1 inch. And the rest of them will come and get you. Now you got itches all over the place. You know the way my nose itches? There's no way. There is no way I can stop that. It's just right here. But you know why you laugh and you giggle? Because it's all the same. Everybody's the same. There is nothing different between you, me, and anybody else sitting in here except the body that you're in. You're in a different model body. Some are svelte and, you know, kind of like me, and you know, others are a little big, others are a little short, you know what I mean? That's all the difference is. But everybody thinks exactly the same thing. You feel exactly the same thing. And you sit here sometime, and, oh, you know, the great thing, would you ever hear sometime when people try to hold in their cough? Huh? You know, the music is playing real, oh, nobody's damn, and you got a cough. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. What'd you do anyhow? What's the Krishna say? He cannot even for a moment remain really inactive, for the qualities of nature will compel him to act whether he will or not. Even if you don't want to. But that has to do with everything, see? Because now you're meditating, you know, and you shouldn't be thinking those thoughts that you think, because after all, this is Wednesday, and Tuesday night you were meditating, and you were lifted up into angelic realms. That means you're an angel now. See, you floated up into nirvana. You're an angel. So why are you thinking these kind of risque thoughts in your head? You know, what is this going through my little head? What is it? Why would I think that? We go to page 148 in the New Testament, book of Romans, okay? And here, what did you just hear? You just heard Krishna says he cannot even for a moment remain really inactive, for the qualities of nature will compel him to act whether he will or not. Look at Romans chapter 7, page 148, and go to verse 19. And look what Paul says. For the good that I would, in other words, the good things that I know I should do, I don't do. But the evil which I know I shouldn't do, that's what I do. This is the guy that wrote the Bible. I mean, how more holy can he get? He's got his name as he write the Bible. Do you ever hear everybody say, now abide? They even write a song, now abides faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. Here's a guy saying, I'm all screwed up. I know I shouldn't do these things because, after all, I wrote the Bible. What was he into? What was this guy into? You know, sneaking out in the back, you know, at the Jerusalem Nights, you know, strutting down to the, Armageddon Tavern down there, see what goes on, huh? Because I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I do it anyhow. And I can't do anything about it. This is what he says. And that's what Krishna said. Don't make any difference. You don't come down here, because you're looking at me, folks, and I know. You know what I'm telling you? I have those little thoughts. Oh, no, don't tell me that. Yes. It's true. It's true. Well, they all snicker, and they look down at the floor. Nobody wants to look at me now because, after all, you're not like me. You never have those thoughts. What thoughts? Take a picture of him, please. What thoughts? Do you have the courage to face the camera and say what? Okay. So this is then we realize we're all in the same boat. We're just human beings. And our minds catapult us into these things. Even when we try desperately, our minds still override us. And you say, well, you know, what's this all about? And Krishna continues to explain what this is all about. We won't be too much longer. What about the one, though, who is able to restrict his actions? You know, we've heard about that. They don't have, you know, they don't go to Atlantic City. I wouldn't be going down to Atlantic City. And they don't do anything that's wrong, you know. And even, I don't do anything like that. I come down here and we crochet Afghans for the poor people in Cambodia. We have covered dishes. Sister Claire makes some baked beans. It's great, you know. We have all of these wonderful things. I have a robe and I come up and I lead the choir, sing the Word of God and all this stuff. Wonderful human being. Look what it says here. 28:6. He who remains motionless, refusing to act, but all the while brooding over sensuous objects, that deluded soul is simply a hypocrite. He's not acting. He's not doing anything. And what is acting? What are we talking about? Refusing to act. What does it mean? To move yourself and to take charge of yourself and to bring yourself into this conflict. This whole thing is about a conflict. See? And we're all afraid of the conflict. And the conflict is with ourselves. That's the act that we have to do. We have to fight this fight. Jesus Christ gave you specific instructions as to what you got. You want to take part in this fight, or you want to play? You can meditate. Hey, oh, I feel better. Sure, you feel better. Now, what are you going to do with it? My life is improved. You're doggone right. Your life is improved. Now, what are you going to do? Well, I'm not going to tell anybody I come down here. That's not the deal. That is not the deal. The deal is you get in here. The magic door slides open to the right side, you know. What's behind door number 3? You know, and they open it up, and it's the right hemisphere. Wow, I'll take all of that. But now what do you do with it? Well, I don't want anybody to know I go down here. What church do you go to? I go to a non-denominational church in South Jersey. Yeah, don't tell them, see. But that's not Jesus. You know what Jesus said? What I whispered in your ear, you shout from the housetop. Rock them to their socks and tell them. See? That's what you got to do. That's what this is about. That's action. That's action. That's what it's about. Otherwise, to try to say, well, I'll become religious and I'll just sit here and I'll hum Om. You know? I'll say Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and I'll do all of these things. But you're not going to accomplish, you're not going to take part in what this is talking about, action. Our minds and our consciousness, what happens? You see, you're not doing anything bad. Nobody sees you doing it. You don't go anywhere. I see him every Saturday night. He's home, he waters the garden, and he mows the lawn, and he walks the dog, and he does all of these things. He sits under trees. He's very nice. He's a member of the Clean Street Society. And the sewer, and he does all of these things. He's a wonderful person. But you know what happens? He sits all by himself, and the passions and the fires are inside, eating him up, and he is so frustrated with life, and he doesn't know what to do. And probably he'd like to go to one of those stores, but he's afraid if he ever went in, what would happen if he ever came out and anybody saw him? So what does he do? He lives his life in these fantasies of frustration. Totally frustrated, consumed by his own mind. Or her own mind. What do you mean his own mind? Her own mind. There's some lady sitting here. Okay. And you know it. If I was to say, how many will say, yes, that's me, stand up? Not one of you would stand up, but you know it. It's part of the game we play. You know, we put a mask on, you see. But we all have a mask. You're all behind a mask. You got your religious mask on tonight. It's great. Got mine on. I got my preacher's mask on. How do you like it? To reverse the collar, only I'd strangle myself. But I mean, you know what I'm talking about. This guy comes on an airplane, sits down, guy next to him, hey, how's the flight? I don't know, bother me. I want to talk to this guy. Why do people sit next to me in the airplane want to talk to me? Get lost. Yeah, I'll talk to me when I'm flying 5,000 miles an hour, 30,000 feet in the air, and I'll talk. But there's a guy sitting next to you says, how you doing?
You're not in the mood. You got your mask on. So I am not in the mood to talk to no buddy sitting next to me in no airplane. I do not want to talk to you. You don't say that to him, but you just make it known you're not interested in his conversation at all, okay? There comes a stewardess down the plane. Would you like some coffee? Would you like some tea? Would you like some crumpets? He says to the guy next to you, Senator Bradley, would you like some? Senator Bradley? Are you Bill Bradley? Yeah. Senator Bill Bradley? I mean, the best New York... That was a great Knicks fan. All of a sudden you want to talk. What happened? You put a new mask on. See, now you got your nice mask on. Oh, I'm going to talk to Senator Bradley. I'm getting all of a sudden, I'm getting very conversational. I didn't want to talk to the nerd from outer space, but now he's Senator Bradley. I'll put my nice face on and we'll talk. Depends. We create these depends the situations and what we want out of the situation, whether we're going to enter into it or not. We'll get into more of that when we teach Buddha on Sunday mornings, won't we? About all of that stuff. Jesus puts it this way. How does Jesus put it? What we were talking about before, you know, the guy never goes anywhere, stays home, digs his marigolds, you know, watches Christian television, you know, gets up, says hallelujah late. You know, it's a funny thing. One time when I first got involved in this stuff, I was over at a friend's place, and they were having a religious thing where they were all talking in tongues and everything. And I am a strange person in that I leave my coat on when I go into places because I don't necessarily going to stay too long. And Joan has a picture of me, actually, when she was a nurse in the old days. We went to somebody's house, and they had a big party there, and I had my overcoat on. And I sat there the whole night with my overcoat on. Hi, John, is your husband going to stay? She said, well, I didn't even think she knew me that well, you know. So, I guess that's the way he is. You know? Well, that's the way I am. So anyhow, I had my coat on at this Bible revival, and people were talking in tongues and all of this stuff. And they started going, you know, all this kind of stuff. And I started sweating my brains out, you know. Jeez. And they were all looking at me. He's getting it, you know. He's getting the fire of the Spirit. And I was sweating, and I didn't know it. But I found out within a few minutes I was sitting on a radiator. This thing was pumped up to 500 degrees, you know, had a box grill covering, and I was sitting on this thing, and sweat's dropping off me, and they thought I was really getting into this thing. So you know, your mind confused. But when you just sit there, what does Jesus say? This is what happens to them. Go to page 4 in your New Testament, the book of Matthew. Okay? Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5. Now look at verse 28. Remember, Jimmy Carter was guilty of this, huh? But I say unto you that whoever looks on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart. What's he saying? He's saying because that is going to have just as much of a devastating effect on you, because it's going to frustrate you and it's going to rip you to pieces in your mind, and you're going to feel it. He's not saying that, hey, oh, wow, you see what he was thinking of? Chalk one up for old Al. Don't let that white hair fool you, Frankie. This guy's going down in the holy book. Huh? One thought for Al. 85, yeah, I'll bet. I'll believe that. Okay? Well, what's he saying? He's saying it doesn't make any difference, and this is what Krishna is trying to say. Your mind will carry you into these things, and your mind can destroy you no matter what kind of a pretense you put on about being good. What do we have? That wasn't too long ago. We had Jimmy Swaggart up there telling everybody, you are sinning, and you are going to pay the fines of the wrath of hell because you are hobnogging with the harlots of the world, and God is going to condemn you for this. Now, who knew that this guy was jumping over the fence right after the service? There, he's running down the Bleecker Street, you know. Hey, here I come, Lulu! Who knew this? Because all of these crushed people are going out of the service saying, oh, God, oh, I'm nothing but a miserable wretch. You know something, Kim? When Brother Swaggart said that, I think he looked at me, and I was convicted by God. of my ways, of my women mongering, I know I'm going to hell. And I didn't know this guy's running down after, hey, Lulu, here I come. I don't know this. Who knew? I didn't know. Did you know? I didn't. And all that, it's a wonderful thing. That's exactly what Krishna said, whatever Jesus is saying. It doesn't make any difference who you are. Don't sit here looking at me. Everybody's looking at me very sanctimonious. Oh, I wouldn't know anything about that. Every one of you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if it hasn't happened recently, it's happened. Right? Long time ago, he says. But you know what I'm saying to you. And that's why it's important for us not to look down our nose at somebody else. Okay, let's wrap this up. In other words, the devastating effect of desire is as bad as the devastating effect of action. You can do something and be hurt by it. You can think about something and be hurt by it. Doesn't make any difference. It can hurt you. Say, well, I can't do anything about it. But look at this. You can. Let's wrap it up with 28:7. But Arjuna, and that's your divine mind, all honor to him whose mind controls his senses. For he is thereby beginning to practice karma yoga, the path of right action, keeping himself always unattached. All honor to him whose mind controls his senses. This is what Jesus was talking about. The crucifixion of Jesus Christ is actually the disabling or the killing of the five senses. The wounds in the hands, the feet, and the side, the 5 wounds are the killing of the 5 senses on the tree of life, the crucifixion. And when you meditate, you control those 5 senses. Sorry. It doesn't mean, my friends, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have a dirty thought. It doesn't mean that you're not going to enter into anything, because your human senses will also come back. But it does mean that you know where to go to control those 5 senses so that you can be free and open yourself to instruction and chastising, if you would, and direction from that which is a higher element within you, the holy element within you. See? Everything, look, do you remember to control his senses? Do you remember when it was David and Goliath? Huh? Goliath was the beast, measured in cubits, which means it's consciousness. What did David do to slay the beast? He reached down and he picked up 5 smooth stones. Huh? Had to pick up 5. See? Because they symbolize the 5 senses. That means when you control the 5 senses, you can kill the beast. What happened if David only picked up 4? One of the senses would have gotten him. Maybe it's something he saw. Maybe it's something he touched. Maybe it's something he heard. Okay? That would have destroyed him. He couldn't have killed the beast. So he picked up 5 smooth stones. And then he took the stone, that one stone, the stone that the builders rejected, which is the pineal gland, and he struck the beast where? Right in the forehead, in the place of consciousness. And he was set free. And he overwhelmed the beast. And you know, the interesting part of that story is, if you read about it, all of the soldiers of Israel were lined up. Nobody could do anything with the beast. You know what that means? All of the religions, Protestant religion, Catholic religion, Buddhist religion, Hindu religion, all the religions in the world are lined up, but nobody can get to the beast. What has to happen? Just like as we learned, you must send the child, David. And David did something. He said, they tried to put the armor on him, you know. And he said, I can't wear this stuff. You know what? That means they tried to give him a Bible. No. They tried to make him be born again. No. They tried to get him to take holy water. No. They tried to get him to sign his name. No. They tried to get him to come Sunday morning or Sunday night. No, he couldn't take any of that. I can't be weighted down with any of that. I have to take what I have from God. I will take the 5 stones, and I will take that one stone with the builders rejected, and with that in my life, I will smash that into the head of the beast, and I will be set free. And then I will set free those in this entire universe, because all life will then come to the saving knowledge of he who is the God, because it is the child within you that destroys the beast. So that's all about. It has nothing to do with a child hitting a giant. Nothing to do with it whatsoever. When he cut off his head, it means he was now separated from that which is the beast. When you cut off the head of the beast, it means you are now separated from that which is the beast. That's why John the Baptist's head was cut off. He was separated from that which is the beast of the lower nature. Now this stuff, well, don't you believe any of it happened? No. Why not? Because it happens. If it happened, it's a story. If it happens, it's real. I don't believe in fairy tales. I don't believe in stories. I believe the Bible, which says it's parable and allegory and numerology. I say it happens. It's given to you in allegorical form to say, for God's sakes, wake up to the fact that you are part of the universe. Plug into the universe. Alert yourself to the higher realms within you that is the universe. Bring these things to life, and you will be lifted up. You will destroy the beast. You'll be set free. And all you have to do, your only responsibility, is to discipline yourself to be quiet periodically and communicate with that which is the Holy One within you. It doesn't require any more of you than that, and it'll happen of its own. Huh? You say, oh, look at me. I'm Kimberly. I could never be that. Oh, I'm Sharon. Oh, I could never be that. Oh, I'm Kathy. Oh. Let me tell you something. If you could talk to a little seed, and you say to the little seed, you're going to be a mighty oak tree. Mighty tree. So you know what the little seed will say? You're nuts. I'm in Forked River. I can't be nothing but a seed. I've been a seed for 20 years. That's all I've been is a seed. Look at me. I can't do any of that stuff. Did you ever get that feeling? Oh, I can't do any of this. Oh, look at me. Oh, I might be disabled, or I might not have a good job, or I might have troubles. I can't do any of this stuff. That's what the seed said. I've been a seed for 20 years. But you know what? All of a sudden they take the seed, put it into the earth, into the darkness, and water it with the waters of life. Placing that seed which was in you inside into the darkness and water it with the truth of meditation. And then what happens? Suddenly there appears out of the ground a little twig. And it becomes a tree. Everything that you never thought could happen to you happens. Even though you don't believe it, even though you didn't believe it, the little seed has become a tree. And the exciting part is, now if you dig around and dig under the roots looking for the seed is gone. The seed has died. The seed has become the tree. It's not there anymore. You can't even recognize it. Oh, excuse me. Hey, you, I thought you were, weren't you the seed? I was what? Weren't you the seed? Well, I don't know anything about a seed. I'm a tree. I'm not looking back to what I was when I was insignificant, because now I am significant. What did you do? Nothing. I just listened to somebody that said if I stayed in the dark and allowed the waters to touch me, it would happen. And it did. Where's your old life, your old body? It's gone. I'm new. I'm a tree. And that's what this is all about, becoming a tree and allowing the seed to die in the darkness of meditation. Thank you.